All right, good afternoon. Welcome everyone to The Boss. It's a midweek edition of the show, and of course, from the way the show started, you know that we're already having like interesting conversations behind the camera. Welcome to the show. My name is Patience. It's a pleasure to be here as always. Today is Wednesday, the 27th of March, 2024, and of course, it's still the Holy Week, going by Catholic recognition or observance of the moment we're in. Of course, these are just a few days left before Easter. All right, so for those who are observing the Lent, we pray that our prayers are answered and God gives us the strength to go through, till the very end. Lent will be ending on Saturday, and then Sunday, Easter celebrations will start. Not forgetting to mention that our Muslim brothers are also fasting. All right, so in another week from now, they too will also be celebrating, the end of the Ramadan season. So I think this is just a very sacred and very memorable time for all of us in Nigeria, particularly putting into context what we're going through as a country, as a nation. We do need a time like this for sober reflection, and also to pray for divine intervention into whatever it is that's going on in Nigeria. Having said that, what is going on right now is that the Central Bank of Nigeria has again, twice in 2 months, raised the interest rate. And a lot of economists online are crying that this new increase might actually totally choke manufacturers to the point where more jobs might be lost. I'm happy we have a finance expert on the show this afternoon to either support or debunk, the claims by these people on social media. But first, let me introduce my guest on the table this afternoon. Mr. Nuruddin Adegbenro is back this week. Of course, he's joining us in full capacity as a lecturer, a journalist, and a public affairs analyst. Good afternoon, Mr. Adegbenro.
Good afternoon, and to all our viewers, thank you very much. Anywhere we go, they show love, and I must confess, there is one commercial driver today that has to cause traffic at Guinness Junction. Hey,
just to say hi.
Just to say hi, and thank you very much. We really appreciate you. And also, we always foment trouble all around, but positive trouble though. And it's just a stone that I'm going to throw. That local government chairman that you to fix that primary school, fix it. It's 1 month I'm giving you. Fix it, or else I will shout again.
You know yourself. Welcome to the show, sir. Also joining us on the table this afternoon, he's a business and finance expert. He's also an activist, being the chairman of ACT Network, a pro-good governance advocacy group. Plus, he's joining us as a public affairs analyst, Mr. Segun Shokwiton. Good afternoon, Mr. Shokwiton.
Good afternoon, Mama.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Good afternoon,
welcome.
Nigerians. It's desperately hot this afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. The sun came out really early, blazing hot.
I hope that the rainy season can set in as quickly as possible, so we can be safe from some of this, and so that we can enjoy better power supply going forward. Power supply.
No, rainy season.
I don't know how that works though.
Because most of our power comes from the hydro. So the rain brings higher levels, and the turbines work better, and all of that. So sad that we're depending on nature for power, but there it is.
Plus, of course, we live in Lagos. That what are the meteorological people? They've actually predicted that Lagos will be experiencing some very unexpected kind of rains, starting from April till literally the end of the year. All right, so we hope it's good.
We've already seen some of it. The rains that happened early this month and late last month. There were what they call flash floods.
Yes.
With huge, heavy amounts of
thunder,
heavy, wind, and light. So we really prepare ourselves for
what's coming.
May be coming.
Exactly. Welcome, sir, to the show. All right, viewers as well, don't forget you can be a part of the show by using the number that'll be on the screen shortly. Send your comments, contributions to that number using via SMS only. And going straight into the program this afternoon, in a bid to curb soaring inflation rates, the Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee has taken decisive action by increasing its key monetary policy rate by 200 basis points to a new record high of 24.75% from the previous rate of 22.75%. Now, according to the CBN Governor, Yemi Cardoso, he emphasized the committee's commitment to curbing inflation and restoring the purchasing power of Nigerians. The increased interest rate will have a ripple effect throughout the Nigerian economy. Borrowers, including businesses and individuals, can expect to pay more for loans, potentially impacting investment and consumer spending. However, the CBN's actions are intended to bring down inflation in the long run, which would ultimately benefit Nigerians by stabilizing prices and protecting their purchasing power. All right, circulating online, videos of Yemi Cardoso making this announcement yesterday is everywhere, and a lot of comments also have trailed this video. And like I mentioned in my opening, a lot of economic experts, all right, they've been commenting on these raise in interest rate. Like I mentioned, this is the second in 2 months, and this is about the highest I think Nigeria has ever seen. All right, so they are saying this might not impact well manufacturers and especially on employees who might lose jobs in hundreds. All right, but first let's go listen to Yemi Cardoso back. I always like to leave the financial terminologies and all that because that might be too difficult for an average Nigerian to analyze. Let's talk in real terms, in plain street language. What does this mean really? And raising it from 22.75 to 24.75. How impactful will this second raise in 2 months actually be, not just on the lives of Nigerians, but on the economy itself? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I have interesting thoughts about this because I've had time to reflect and I've listened to the two sides. My natural inclination is to be against this.
Okay. You
know, that's by virtue of my own personal ideology, my economic ideology. You know, I'm a bit of a centrist. I lean more towards social welfareism. Having said that, listening to the arguments, you know, for and against, I realized that the CBN has a point. But to answer your question directly, as far as the impact on average, ordinary Nigerians are, I'd say it will not be pronounced. And it may very well be counterbalanced by other things that are happening.
Okay.
Ordinarily, the immediate response is say, it's going to increase borrowing rates. And if borrowing rates increase, especially amongst the large manufacturers, FMCG companies, the Unilevers, the PZ, people that produce the basic things that we use every day.
Consumer goods.
Consumer goods. You know, so those producers borrow monies from the banks, and the commercial merchant banks. These are the people that will be affected, whose lending rates will be affected the most by this policy. So for that segment of borrowers, interest rates will go up. It's inevitable. If you combine the CRR, the liquidity ratio, and then plus the increase in the NPR itself, the significance of this is that banks will increase their lending rates. So which means borrowing costs representing about 30 to 40% of total cost of most of these businesses, it will mean that they would have to compensate somewhere because their cost has gone up. So they will increase some of their prices. Again. Which will affect, you know, the ordinary man on the street. So just think about your Maggi, your whatever. Just think about any product that these guys produce. The price probably go up. However, the mitigating side of this is that this is likely to curtail inflation from one side, the side of money supply. Now, another effect of this that this will have is that it will likely help improve exchange rates. We may see some revaluation as a result of the mopping up of liquidity. So you, economically speaking, you have fewer naira chasing the dollars, which will result in an abatement in the devaluation of the naira, which will in turn reduce the inflationary pressure on the cost of goods. So by the time you look at it from that angle, you might find that the fear that people like us would normally have expressed may not materialize, which is the fear that this will drive up costs. In fact, it's unlikely to happen that way. Another point to be made is that the majority of small businesses, small and medium scale enterprises, don't have access to lending, borrowing from banks anyway. Majority of them. A few of them that have adequate structures and, you know, are lucky enough to have risen to a certain level can borrow from banks. Majority can't. Majority borrow monies from microfinance banks and finance houses who already lend at way above what we're talking about.
Okay.
They lend at 5% per month, 10% per month. If you convert that to per annum, commercial banks will lend at 30-35% all-in cost per annum. Your microfinance bank is lending at 60% per annum, and some are lending at 120% per annum.
So they're already ahead.
So they're already far ahead. So this will not impact the small businesses significantly. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, and then look at the benefits of, you know, raising the MPR with regards to other economic indicators, I think I am willing to sit back and hope
and see how
it plays out, because I suspect that the effect might be positive. When you look at the money supply, and this is now we have to go beyond the layman issue now. Money supply, 97 trillion naira. My goodness gracious, it's too much. And bearing in mind that just a year plus ago, this is when 2024 March, as at December 2022, which is just 14 months ago, it was at 55 trillion. So it has doubled in just less than a year. There is no way inflation will not be out of control. So the only way to bring money supply down is, one, raise interest rates, which will have an effect on government securities, T-bills, bonds, and all of that. And then mop up liquidity by, you know, the current cash reserve ratio.
But you know, when you talk mopping up extra cash that is everywhere,
there's too much.
You know, I always feel a kind of way, because in the first place, who brought on, you know, the excess cash that is everywhere?
It's not cash.
Okay.
It's not cash.
Not physical cash.
It's not cash. It's money. Money supply. Money. So in that money, they call it broad money, M3. So you have cash in that money. Cash supply in the country is about 4-5 trillion naira. But money supply is 97 trillion.
Wow.
So when we say money supply, we're talking of cash, deposits, investments. You know, you put all of that together. There's too much of it out there, which is now providing inflationary pressures. Not the cost push. Now, the cost push is structural. This one is, there's no supply of food. And all of those things, inflation is going up. So,
all right, I hear you, Mr.
Shopito. It's a good thing that the CBN has done.
So we shouldn't be.
We should hope,
too alarmed. But you didn't say anything about whether or not this might affect jobs.
I don't think so.
In the short or long run.
I don't think so, because I think that ultimately this move will have a net positive effect. So yes, cost of borrowing will go up, but when you look at the other side of it and the gains that we'll get, I don't think it will go up so much so that companies will now start closing down and you have lots of jobs. I really don't see that happening. So I hope that this works out well.
All right. Are you as hopeful as Mr. Shopito?
Well, because he's an economist. Even at the stage where some certain banks are showing us they have much money. And when the CBN governor at that time, Sanusi, asking them to show the money they have, we discovered that some certain banks are using only the money of poor people to trade. There is nothing inside it. And we know what happened to those banks. That is how bankers, economists, they will be giving us hope. But me, I'll come from the angle. I'll come from the angle of poor Nigerians.
Okay.
One, don't forget that majority of all these big industries, they are leaving our country, or they've left our country. If you know the numbers of them, I was around Apapa yesterday. These companies that left our shore, they are seriously importing back to our country. And we are losing, because if they are produced here, we will have gained. Now, with this issue of this, as much as it is very, very important that every country should be looking at inflation, although that is what we normally do, but we don't look at food inflation. Because that one is the one that concerns the poor person. It's not all Nigerians that are going to build houses. All of us, we know that. It's not everybody that will have car. It's not even in Lekki or Banana Island. We all know. But everybody must eat. So, if you look at this, the way CBN is looking at inflation, money inflation, are they looking at food inflation? Because whether we like it or not, the ripple effect is this. Majority of all those merchants, let me call them the traders, especially those one in wholesales, they get loan from microfinance, as he has rightly said. What it means is this: the way the commercial banks are increasing it towards microfinance, they are already on top already. They will see how to hit. What it means is this: I'm going to be paying more interest from the money that I get from Gomulelanta to buy goods, and all my costs I'm going to base it on that. What it means is that there will be increase in the price of goods, either we like it or not. That means Nigerians that are suffering from the current economic challenges are going to pay more to buy whatever they want to buy. Look, in the last 1 week, a lot of sympathizers of the government are dancing. Dollars, whatever. What concerns me about dollars when the price of goods and services is still going higher? That is the thing. What concerns me about dollars? I'm not trading dollars. I've not held dollars maybe for 2 months now, and it doesn't. But naira, what can I buy with the naira? So now, I think what the government should do with this, kind of interest increment, what they need to just do is this: what are we going to do to cushion the effects? What are the things we are going to do to cushion the effects? Nigerians are still paying higher for healthcare facilities. Nigeria is still paying higher for transportation. Nigeria is still paying higher for foodstuffs and other things. Do you know how much to fill a gas of 1 kg?
Almost 1.5.
So automatically, when you now look at it cumulatively, do you know that it's either you are going to see 200 naira rice at the mama put, which is the hope of the common men?
No, even a local place where we buy food, if it's jollof rice, there's no 200 naira.
You now see now. So now, what is the effect? What is the effect of this interest rate on the common man?
So you
now, if you know the kind of paper they also use now, there is what we call esha. Esha inu esha. The one that is rotting after rotting is what they are going to use.
They've been using esha for a long time.
So, and if you know, what the government needs to do is this: what are the ways we can cushion, especially for the poor? It's very, very important. If we can now do that, as much as you are catering for the businesses, and but what are you going to do to cater for poor Nigerians? Because they don't take, in fact, they don't even have money in the bank. They don't even have money in the bank, and the small businesses they are doing. Just imagine that poor Nigerians will not go to microfinances and Gomulelanta, and they can get a kind of fund from government that will be interest free. Although our people also are stubborn. Anything that has to do with government that they just have to pay the real money back, they become problem. I know. But just imagine that the woman selling groundnut, the woman selling yam, the woman selling rice beside the road, the woman selling watermelon could be able to see funds that no interest, that is going to be returning it even if it is daily or weekly, and there is no interest. Just imagine the kind of microeconomy that we are going to see. Nigerian government, the way you are using your strength on this economy, use your strength to give succor to the poor Nigerians.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Adegbenro. Regina is already reacting here, says, good afternoon, the boss. Some of these producers, as manufacturers you mean, will be adding their prices because they get the loan from the bank, and some small businesses can get a loan from the bank because of the high rate 2 times in a year. Thank you, Regina, from Jos. Anyways, according to the CBN, they also adjusted the cash reserve ratio for commercial banks, maintaining it at 45%. However, the cash reserve ratio for merchant banks has been increased from 10% to 14%. Additionally, the liquidity ratio remains unchanged at 13%. And according to the CBN governor, these measures aim to tighten control over the money supply and circulation, further dampening inflationary pressures. All right, so like Mr. Shokuton did say, let's wait and see, you know, how this plays out, whether it will actually help with the economy in terms of inflation.